Now, the Cooperative Group has narrowed its half-year losses despite intense competition in the grocery market. The organisation, which is owned by its 4.58 million members, reported a pre-tax loss on an underlying basis of £9 million for the 6 months to the 1st of July, which was down from £68 million in the same period last year. But year-on-year comparisons are difficult because the Co-op has since sold its petrol forecourt business. So when I caught up earlier with Shireen Khoury-Haque, the chief executive of the Co-op, I began by asking her what had been going on beneath the surface.
We've remained very rigorously focused on 4 key priorities, which have been to deliver on our plans, to accelerate our growth, to support our members, colleagues and communities across this cost of living crisis, and to improve our efficiency and our expenses across this year. On a like-for-like basis, despite the sale of our petrol forecourts, every single one of our businesses have grown compared to the first half of last year, and cash generation has improved. We've also reduced our expense base, which has meant that we've been able to cover around £117 million of extra cost while investing heavily in prices, 20 million in the first half, and then we've announced another £70 million investment for the second. You'll also have seen that we've reduced our debt year on year by 83%, and our membership recruitment has increased by 55%, again, on a like-for-like basis. So we're incredibly pleased with our performance in the half year.
Sales in grocery up 4%. To what extent is that flattered by inflation? What's been happening on volumes?
You'll know that due to inflation, volumes across the entire sector have gone down. We have 4 channels into the grocery market. We have our stores, we have our wholesale business, we have franchise, and we have our online. And each one of those areas has shown growth. We're actually exceeding the market at the moment on volume sales in all of those channels, and we're very, very pleased about that. But the entire market has dipped because of the cost of living issues that we're all seeing at the moment.
Do you see any light in the end of the tunnel as regards food price inflation?
I think you'll have seen the inflation figures, and you'll have seen that food inflation has gone. But unfortunately, that's been because of organizations like us investing themselves in prices. We have not actually seen commodity prices come down yet. So no deflation. We've seen an easing in inflation, but we do continue to see inflation in core areas. And even where there is reduced inflation in commodity prices, we have not seen that yet transfer to cost of goods. So it's going to be a while, and I think, until we can see prices coming down for retailers in terms of the costs that we purchase.
Obviously, you have a very big funeral care business as well. Revenues up in a very competitive market. What's been happening to death rates?
And thank you for asking me about the funeral business, Ian. It's not often mentioned. It's not mentioned often enough, actually, considering the importance of the business. So the death rate has been up in the first year. Our volumes have been up over 7%. Our revenues grew by 5.8%, and we saw a market share increase. Now, if you look at what's been happening across the funeral market, COVID had a huge impact in that people were not able to have the sorts of funerals that they would have wished for their families. And we're seeing some of that persist in that 1 out of 7 families now are choosing to have much more simple funerals, and they're choosing to go direct to cremation. In the easing of the COVID restrictions, there have also been some families who've been glad to get back to traditionally big funerals. Now, there are a couple of things that we're doing in our business. First of all, we're trying to change the societal view in terms of discussing death and people's death wishes upon their death. And you'll have seen that in some of the campaigning work that we've done. And recent advertising. And we're also looking to provide some innovative, different solutions for families. And that includes the introduction of water cremation. We're the first in our market to offer that. It's also called resumation. And we believe that that could signify the biggest shift in terms of how funerals are chosen in the last 120 years in a quite traditional industry.
Some other business news stories for you now. And the chief executive of Next warned this morning